Now, a fourth suspect, we understand, has been arrested. What can you tell us about that person?
That's correct, Poppy. Earlier today we had Curtis and Marvin Banks, who were both charged with 2 counts of capital murder, and Joanne Calloway with 2 counts of capital murder. And now, we, as I said earlier, that the FBI was continuing their investigation, continuing their interrogation of witnesses and processing evidence. And so in that process, Cornelius Clark was charged and is being booked as we speak for obstruction of justice.
And Wen Jian Liu were parked on the street near Myrtle and Tompkins Avenues on Saturday when Ismail Brinsley walked up to their marked police cruiser from the sidewalk and approached the passenger side window. Witnesses told police that Brinsley then took a shooting stance before opening fire, fatally striking both officers in the head. The New York Post reported that Brinsley then stood still for a few moments, only fleeing after he heard sirens of more police officers arriving. Brinsley fled to the nearby Myrtle Willoughby Avenue subway station, where he shot himself in the head on the platform, killing himself.
A coward who is in the midst of a small-time drug deal is the prime suspect in the killing of a Memphis police officer, the city's top cop said. Tremaine Wilborn, 29, was a passenger in a parked 2002 Mercedes-Benz on Saturday night when he opened fire on Officer Sean Bolton, fatally wounding the Iraq War veteran and family man, authorities said.
At approximately 9:18 p.m., communications was alerted by a citizen through one of our officers' radios that an officer had been shot in the area of Perkins and Cottonwood.
When you're looking at this individual, you're looking at a coward, Memphis Director of Police Services Tony Armstrong said as he held up a picture of Wilborn.
Tonight, not only did Fox Lake lose a family member, I lost a very dear friend.
We begin with breaking news. Fox Lake Police Lieutenant Joe Glinowich murdered on the job. The father of 4 is a 32-year veteran of the force, and right now a massive manhunt underway in the northwest suburbs. 3 suspects remain on the loose.
Let's all go off the record. Last night I took you to the Law Enforcement Memorial. This after 21 killings of police officers so far this year. 4 of those murders in just the last 10 days. And now, 24 hours later, another police officer shot and killed, this time Illinois. Now, we don't yet know the circumstances surrounding that killing, but isn't it obvious that police have a big target on their backs? Almost an open season on police? Just last weekend, Black Lives Matter marching Minneapolis chanting, "Pigs in the blanket, fry 'em like bacon." Well, you know what they meant by that chant. And meanwhile, why are our leaders so quiet? I'm talking about America's top lawyer, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and President Obama. Both need to be making very public statements about these police murders, and it's not enough to issue a written statement. Their statements need to be on camera, a full-throated condemnation of this violence on police. Our police deserve that, their families deserve that, and the nation needs
King Noble, black supremacy. And I want to talk about the shooting of the white deputy sheriff in Houston, Texas. Reminds me of a Bob Marley song, "I Shot the Sheriff." Very interesting. To me, what the Houston, Texas brutal execution before the public represents to me is its open season on killing whites and white police officers. And probably killing cops, period. It's open season.
Police tape, bullet holes, and evidence markers only begin to indicate the chaos that was Saturday night.
It was a reckless environment where anyone could have been killed.
2 Troy police officers shot while responding to a call for an attempted carjacking. Officer Joshua Comatel was on patrol when he spotted a suspect matching the caller's description. The chief says Comatel began to pursue 39-year-old Thaddeus Faison on foot and called for backup.
He has a very violent criminal past, multiple charges for weapons possession, and has done time in state prison. He is a parolee.
Soon, Officer Chad Klein arrived to assist.
The bullet hit him in the back of the shoulder.
Police say Faison shot Klein and then turned the gun on Comatel. The officer was shot in both his legs.
Somebody's gotta hurry up.
Police say Faison was eventually taken into custody.
Suspect's down. He's still moving.
He continued to struggle after being shot multiple times. He had to be tased at the scene. It took 4 officers to get him into restraints.
He later died from his injuries at the hospital. Officer Comatel was operated on early Sunday morning, and more procedures are likely. Officer Klein is also expected to undergo surgery. The chief says they're both lucky to be alive.
It's a shooting which has shocked the community of Harris County in Texas. The gunning down of a sheriff's deputy as he filled his patrol car with petrol brought hundreds out onto the streets on Sunday to pay tribute to the police officer. 47-year-old Darren Goforth was killed in an unprovoked attack on Friday. Officials have linked the shooting to anti-police rhetoric following protests against recent deaths of unarmed black men at the hands of white officers.
I think we should use this opportunity with this police officer to have a fact-based, balance. Okay, cops are getting killed, black people are getting killed. We got to stop this. We don't want the cops to get killed, and we don't want innocent black citizens to be killed, for minor traffic infractions or minor infractions selling cigarettes.
The local police department has assumed Goforth was a target just because he wore a uniform and he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. With the incident caught on CCTV, 30-year-old Shannon Miles was quickly identified and has been arrested. He's expected to appear in court today, charged with capital murder of a police officer.
Because this is important. Since Ferguson and the task force that we put together, we have seen too many instances of what appears to be police officers interacting with individuals, primarily African American, often poor, in ways that raise troubling questions. And it comes up, it seems like, once a week now, or once every couple of weeks. And so I think it's pretty understandable why the leaders of civil rights organizations, but more importantly moms and dads across the country, might start saying this is a crisis. What I'd say is this has been a slow rolling crisis. This has been going on for a long time. This is not new, and we shouldn't pretend that it's new. The good news is that perhaps there's some newfound awareness because of social media and video cameras and so forth that there are problems and challenges when it comes to how policing and our laws are applied in certain communities, and we have to pay attention to it and respond.
Dr. Ben Carson is a Republican candidate for president. Dr. Carson, thank you for being here. And whoa,
thank you.
Way to lay it out. I mean, we have been talking for months on this show about how some believe too few in the black community have turned and said, stop, don't act as victims and don't look squarely at the police. Start looking inward. It's not that you don't look at the police at all. It's not that there's no police brutality, but there is a major problem plaguing inner city America right now that in too many circles has been ignored.
Well, it is a big problem, and actually there are a lot of people in the black community who actually think the way that I do, but it's very risky to actually say it, because then you'll be called a name, you'll be scorned, and that is what the established Progressive Party wants. They don't want anybody to speak out against this, and they want to demonize anybody who does so because they want to maintain their power. And I think a lot of people are starting to wake up. I'm not sure they're going to be able to maintain this grasp over the black community going into the future. I'm certainly hoping that's the case.
You talk about how you believed it was your destiny to wind up dead on the streets, that you also thought, like your older cousins, you would not live to see adulthood. But your mother changed everything for you. And you've said similar things in the past, and people have dismissed you as oversimplifying the problems in inner city America with the library card.
Well, I can tell you, if I could multiply my mother and put her in all of those homes with little kids growing up, you would see a very different outcome.
How?
You know, the person who really has...
What was it about her messaging to you?
Well, she refused to be a victim, and she refused to let us be victims. And she always said, there is something that you can do. You do not have to sit around and wait for somebody else to do things for you. And that really informed the way that I thought about things. It informed the way that my brother thought about things. And, you know, there were other people that I knew in the neighborhood whose parents were like that, who also turned out to be shining examples. It's not a fluke by any stretch of the imagination.
21 hours this evening, a deputy of the Harris County Sheriff's Office was at the corner of West Road and Telge, where he had gone into Gas's vehicle after working an incident earlier that evening. As what we can tell, indications now that as he was at the gas pump pumping his gas into his vehicle, a male suspect came up behind the deputy and shot the deputy multiple times. Deputy then fell to the ground. The suspect then continued over to him and shot the deputy again multiple times as he laid on the ground. The suspect then fled to a red-colored or maroon-colored, dark red or maroon Ford Ranger truck, which is a small extended truck, a fleet side truck, and then continued west on West Road. A witness called 911, let us know that one of our deputies had been shot. Multiple units arrived. EMS arrived on scene. Unfortunately, the deputy passed.
Michael Whaley. Michael, thank you so much for being here. What a powerful message. And I want to start by saying you're 27 years old. You're a father yourself. And in the wake of you posting this video, you've gotten severe pushback. What kind of messaging are you receiving?
I'm getting all types of messages from everybody. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It's a freedom of speech. So they can say hateful stuff towards me. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth is bitter. It's not going to be sweet. And all I'm trying to do is just get the message out. And I love everybody. I love everybody. I love all y'all. I care about all y'all. If I didn't care about y'all, I wouldn't be here. I'm missing time away from my kids just to get this message out because I'm worried about my kids and your kids and the future. That's what matters. Their lives matter. All lives matter.
Why do you say in the video, why do you believe that the movement promotes racism? Because it says it's there to stop racism that it perceives on the part of law enforcement.
It doesn't. No, it only provokes racism. The reason why, because I'm putting the spotlight in Chicago because this goes out to the people of Chicago. I care about y'all because it's a lot of crime that goes on in Chicago every single day that doesn't get talked about in the mainstream media. And their lives matter. And it's too much killing that's going on. And the Black Lives Matter movement, they only protest when a white officer kills a black person. And to be honest, the mainstream media causes a lot of racism. They instigate it because in the mainstream media, they put white officer kills on black man. It instigates racism. Now, if they would have put police officer kills on civilian, you wouldn't know if that person was white or black, and 9 times out of 10 people that's watching probably wouldn't give a damn. Sorry for saying that, but I'm just being honest.
What do you mean about the no snitch rule? That was the first I'd heard something about that. This is your explanation for why you think black people in the inner cities don't speak up more about black on black crime?
The no snitching rule, you know for a fact, you probably heard of it before, so I know this ain't your first time hearing it. You heard of no snitching rule. That's better than no snitching rule.
Yeah.
It's like something
but in this context, it was new.
Okay, but yeah, how it is that it's telling the truth. Like if black on black crime happens every day, so if a black person go kill another black person, they're gonna deny till they die. They're not gonna admit the truth. And some people don't like admitting the truth because they don't like that. Like it hurts me to say right there. It hurts me as a black man to say right there. I had to tell the truth about my own people, but I did it because I care about my people. Jesus' own people turned on him because he spoke the truth, and they had him crucified. But at the end of the day, he loved them. So I love every single one of y'all. And this violence that's going on has to be stopped. This racism that's going on has to be stopped because black people and white people, we're not enemies. We have somebody else that's behind closed doors that's actually pulling the strings, that's actually causing a lot of racism here in America. Look at Martin Luther King. Would Martin Luther King want people to ride in Ferguson? No, he would not. Would Martin Luther King want people to ride in Baltimore? No. Martin Luther King had a dream. Now it's time for us to turn that dream into a reality. I don't care if I die trying, but guess what? I got my kids that's gonna carry on my legacy. And if I can't make that dream happen, then they gonna make it happen. It starts with us. It starts with education. We need to be teaching our kids as growing up to overcome diversity, to accept criticism for all races, and to love one another, not because of the color of their skin. And the Black Lives Matter movement, they only instigate, they encouraging African Americans to throw away their lives for what? To take care for something that happened years ago that most white people this generation was not a part of, that they could not control.
Understood.
This history. Let's not look at the negative things in history. If we're going to look at the negative things, let's take those negative things and turn them to positive, because history tends to repeat itself.
I got it.
I'm tired of it.
Michael, thank you.
So let's make a change to history. And I'm promoting this All Lives Matter movement because everybody's life matters, because I care about everybody. I love all of y'all.
I hear you, and hopefully you won't receive any of hateful feedback. We appreciate you coming on, telling us your perspective tonight. All the best to you, and thank you for your service.